Well, I'll do my best to condense it because it's loaded. It's really loaded. So the thing is, when I left EF, I wasn't expecting to leave EF. I just decided, you know what, I'm writing my resignation letter and I'm going to turn this in tomorrow. And that's how it was, because I had a disagreement with the investor.
With management.
Yeah, and I said, hey, listen, this is not a good time to mess with me. And I just recently opened my business at that time. It was just a few months. And I was getting the same vibes and rumors and whatever from other people. They're like, oh, you know, he's not very happy that you opened your own business and all this stuff. And I was like, okay, I get it. He feels threatened. But that wasn't why I left, actually. We talked about it and it was cool afterwards. That wasn't why. And since that situation occurred, it was like, well, I can go home or find a new job or work for another company. I really, after investing like 3.5 years into this company, into EF, for example, I didn't feel like working for another company. I didn't feel like working for someone else and putting in my time and my hours and burning myself out for nothing and like trying to innovate and change everything. So I decided, you know what, I'll just work for my own company. I opened my own company. Let's do this. How do we get this visa? And then from then on, it was just a matter of figuring out the whole visa process. But since I already have this skill set from working at EF where I recruit people, I interview people abroad, I bring them over, I get them integrated to China, the Chinese culture, and everything that they're going to experience within the first few months living here. I already knew, you know what, I can use this and I can do my own recruit for other schools, other companies, and really give the people coming in someone they can trust, because that's very, very short supply. Because right now, most of the recruiters are not that kind of, we know
those.
dependable.
Yes, a lot of I keep hearing about those agents that are very shifty, but they don't know, right? I mean, when you're sitting back home in Idaho, whatever you are, and you're looking for an ESL job, I guess you don't know. It looks like it's legit and everything, and you don't know. Yeah. So how do you recruit people? How do you find people?
We'll use the usual channels.
Okay.
Social media.
Always
use social media to recruit.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, let's talk about this same person, imaginary person in Idaho thinking about moving to China to teach ESL. He doesn't know the difference between a Chinese agent and an agent like you.
Yeah.
Right. How do you come in and make it different? How do you portray your services as being different?
Well, the first thing I have to do is evaluate the person and try to gauge immediately whether or not this person is viable. Do I think this person can survive here? That's number one. So based on their resume and what they say that they're looking for, I can say, can I accommodate you? Yes. And then immediately after that, we do a video call. Once you do the video call, it's game over. That's it. There's no Chinese recruiter that's going to compete with me recruiting on a video call.
Really? They don't do it?
No, they don't.
They don't?
I was recruited by a Chinese recruiter.
Right.
And it was everything was strictly email and, all by the
Why is it? What do you think? Why they don't do it?
Well, it could just be a matter of the language barrier. Like there's most Chinese folks, they learn English and they learn English very well, but most of them will use it to do emails, to communicate in writing, not actually face-to-face interactions, because everything is academic and everything's for testing. So that's very easy to find a person that can read and write English, but to speak and actually interact naturally with a foreigner who's probably doesn't speak a second language, hasn't spoken to another person who doesn't speak English very well, might be very difficult.
Fernando, do you have a center? You had more than one center teaching English here in China. How do you recruit people?
Well, basically, I go by word of mouth. I've actually never brought anybody from outside. Basically, people who are working somewhere and they know that I pay well.
It's too risky to bring someone from outside. Relocate someone.
Well, yeah, because it's a combination of things. Number one, they don't know you, you don't know them. So you have to go through a very, very expensive and lengthy process of proving who you are and what you are to people abroad who might not believe you even if you go through that extent. Yeah.
Right.
The other thing is that you don't know what you're getting.
Right.
You don't know what you're getting. So it's very difficult for you to go through all the process of hiring somebody, bringing him here, put him giving him the training, put him in the classroom, and it's not working. So after a month, you're like,
Right.
So I prefer to work with people that are tested and tried. You know what I mean?
Right. Safer.
In a sense, for example, they don't have this homesickness situation.
Yeah.
They know to a certain extent, they've been burned
Right.
by other employers.
Right.
So I come in like the the knight in white armor. Ta-da-da! Here I am,
Right.
the easiest money you've ever made, blah, blah, blah. And it makes it easier for me. So there's recognition because they probably heard of me here in the city, and I've also probably heard about them, or it's easier for me to tell them this is not going to work, and then they're not losing much. You know what I mean? And I'm
The
not
easiest
losing
money
much.
they ever made because you provide them the plan and everything. And some
Everything.
places are
Well,
like you're on your own.
Well, the
Yeah.
biggest
Something like
thing is and what makes my now we're interviewing me.
No, but I mean, we can compare it
cool.
with other
Sure.
places, you know.
The biggest thing is that you don't need to do lesson planning. Basically, there is a
Right.
method. I've developed a method that
Right.
is quite straightforward, and you can teach anything and
Right.
just apply it to the method and the steps and techniques.
Is it similar in other places? Like some other places, like EF?
EF is McDonald's. It's the McDonald's of teaching English.
So they have,
like
Just
they-
follow-
it's follow this procedure step
don't
by
need to
step.
prepare it yourself.
No, but you do.
You do.
You still
and
do.
lesson
You
planning.
still do.
Yeah, for whatever
You need
reason.
to make the hamburger yourself.
Oh yeah.
okay.
You need
You
to
got the
still
ingredients
prepare
there,
your own
but-
lesson plan. There's no logic behind that necessarily.
There's no method.
But no,
There is
there's
a
a
method.
method.
There is a method.
There is a method. There's a timeline that you're supposed to follow, when to do what and how. But every single teacher still has to make their own lesson plan. Why? I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me because all the lesson plans are provided through the online system already. But they're still required to write lesson plans. What's the reason for it? I don't know.
Well, basically, they're hiring them full time, so you gotta be there for 40 hours a week.
Yeah, that's basically, that sounds like a good reason.
Basically, the 40 hours a week. Even though you're only teaching 20, 25 hours a week, you
Still need to
gotta
be
make
there.
up for the other 15, and we'll write lesson plans.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
Stare at
about
this
it.
monitor for the next 6 hours.
But yeah, okay. All right. I see.